Close the MMQB's Jenny Vrontas and Albert Breer. Take a look at the Kansas City Chiefs' surprising 4,227 victory over the 2016 defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. Time. Sports. I'm not boycotting the National Football League. Far from it. A boycott takes passion and commitment, and all I'm feeling is apathy. America's most popular spectator sport lost my allegiance on March 29, 1984, the day the dastardly Robert Hearsay arranged for Mayflower vans to move my beloved Baltimore Colts to Indianapolis. More recently, the league has lost my interest. This has nothing to do with Colin Kaepernick and national anthem protests, and not much to do with the irreconcilable differences between organized mayhem and a healthy brains. If you've been following pro football for more than half a century, as I have, you don't finally wake up one morning and decide that it's dangerous. You can't rationalize vicarious violence for decades and then affect moral indignation when medical research reveals truths you've been trying to ignore. But you can decide that the league takes up too much of your time and has lost its way as it continues to abandon devoted fans in pursuit of windfall profits. You can look on the contrived scarcity of franchises as a cruel tactic to extort ever sweeter stadium deals from taxpayers. You can, in response, strive to prevent pro football from abusing its popularity by keeping it in a more appropriate perspective. You can try playing hard to get more 8 former Kentucky football players on 2017 NFL rosters, more for cards. Des Fitzpatrick breakout was a relief and confirmation. On November 6, 1995, the day Art Model announced he was moving the Browns to Baltimore, I was covering the story in Cleveland and watched Model's announcement from a seat in the living room of Lou the Toe Groza. While Model spoke, Groza stood behind the couch, eating a sandwich and grunting his disapproval. He later compared the experience to watching some man walk off with your wife. There's a price to be paid for inflicting that kind of pain. Though professional sports franchises have as much right to move as any other private business, and when they do so it disrupts far fewer lives than does a major corporate relocation, pro teams trade so aggressively on the loyalties of local fans that their departures feel more like a betrayal than a business decision. Lifelong San Diegan Nick Canepa, columnist for the San Diego Union-Tribune, routinely refers to the departed Chargers now as the Judases. That Los Angeles appears to be indifferent to their arrival only amplifies the frustrations of deserted fans. The experience can be compared to watching your wife walk off with some man who is barely aware of her existence. As its prices rise and its game day experience becomes affordable to an ever-shrinking share of the population, the NFL must be mindful that tastes change, bonds break, and its audience is not as rapt as it once was. Television ratings are down and youth participation is declining. A report by the National Federation of High School Associations showed 25,901 fewer football participants in the 201,617 school year, this despite an increase of 61 schools fielding teams. Some of this is surely attributable to increased awareness and mounting concerns about the long-term dangers of concussions. Some of it could be an indication of alienation, oversaturation, or of more attractive alternatives. Last season, the average NFL game lasted more than 3 hours and 8 minutes, including 69.8 minutes of commercials. Not very conducive to a binge-watching culture. When the Kansas City Chiefs beat the New England Patriots Thursday night to open a new NFL season, I managed to miss every snap, all of the analysis, and had not seen 1 second of highlights until some of them intruded on my line of sight during dinner Friday night. While digesting my meal, I came to realize that though I'm not boycotting pro football, neither do I need it. Here follow the week's top 10 sports quotes. All of them are optional viewing. 10. Dave Roberts, Los Angeles Dodgers manager, on his team's recent losing streak. I don't think there's anything I say to soothe fans and their passion. Each and every night is Game 7. But I can assure you we're going to win a game again, I know that. The tide will turn. Post-game interview 9. Denny Hamlin, NASCAR driver, on pushing envelopes. My advice to those who say this or that is all the old-school fans that have been watching NASCAR forever. Your driver cheated at some point in their career and they got away with it. The difference is inches, not thousandths, because they didn't measure that stuff back then. It's just a tighter box that we live in today, and the engineers and the crew chiefs are so smart that they fight for that little bit because they know it can make the difference in the smallest of deficits on the racetrack. USATODAY 8. Urban Meyer, Ohio State football coach, on inherited players. When I got here, everybody wanted me to say Jim Tressel left the cupboard bare. If I had any assistant coach say that, they'd be gone. You're a done, those are your players. I hear TV guys, wait until they get their players in there. They're our players. What do you mean, they're players? The minute you sign a contract, they're your players. You didn't choose me, I chose you. CBSSports.com 7. Trevor Bauer, Cleveland Indians pitcher, on an exchange with Chicago White Sox outfielder Avisail Garcia. He likes to run his mouth. Starts sitting there talking like, backquote, they don't throw me fastballs. All they do is throw me breaking balls. He's said it before. I'm not sure he knows that the rules of this game say you can throw whatever pitch you want. Post-game interview 6. Jeff Van Gundy, former NBA coach, on the future of the league with the way the Warriors are, unless you're trading that draft pick for, give me a name, Paul George, you're still not better than the Warriors. The Warriors are gonna win forever. This season is over. We're gonna play it out, and the Warriors are gonna win. And then the next year it's gonna be the same thing. SiriusXM Radio 5. Usain Bolt, champion sprinter, on tracks next generation. I've noticed a lot of the young athletes, as soon as they get their first contract and start making money, they really just don't care as much anymore. A lot of them are satisfied with getting their first contract, going out and making their first team. If they are satisfied with that, then we're in trouble. Hopefully, a few of these young guys are going to be hungry and want to be great, and if we get those guys, we will be okay. But so far, it is not looking good. Promotional appearance 4. Gary Fashing, St. John's University Min. football coach, on a 980 victory over St. Scholastica. I saw what was happening, and I didn't like it. Other than taking a knee on every play. That crossed my mind, but I knew that would be embarrassing. With about 7 minutes left in the game, I told one of our coaches that I think we should just kneel on every play. He said that would be more embarrassing to St. Scholastica than scoring another touchdown. I have thought many times since that game, that I should have maybe taken a knee for the last half quarter. Instead I said to our coaches, let's find plays that aren't going to work. TwinCities.com 3. Tony Buttsby, Texas A&M Regent, on Aggies blowing a 34-point lead against UCLA. Kevin Sumlin was out-coached tonight, which ISNT knew. He recruits well, but can't coach the big games, or the close games. Our players were better tonight. Our players were more talented tonight. But our coaches were dominated on national TV, yet again. I'm only one vote on the Board of Regents, but when the time comes my vote will be that Kevin Sumlin needs to go. In my view, he should go now. We owe it to our school and our players. We can do better. Facebook 2. Kirk Cousins, Washington Redskins quarterback, on declining a multi-year contract. I do believe that the Lord, at least in my life, likes to use one-year contracts and not long-term contracts. He likes to take me to the edge of the Red Sea and have me see there is water in front of me, there are mountains on either side, and there are Egyptians chasing me from behind. And he wants me to sit there for a moment and go, God, you better show up. And then he parts the Red Sea, and he's done that time and again in my life, on the football field and off the football field. Liberty University Convocation 1, J.J. Watt, Houston Texans defensive end, on his relief efforts on Hurricane Harvey. When million-dollar donations start to become the norm, it gets a little crazy. When things look the bleakest, humanity steps up for each other. There's over 160,000 people that have donated. There's as big as a $5 million, there's also as small as a $5 donation. It's people giving whatever they can. Good Morning America. Team Sullivan can be reached at 502-582-4650, Sullivan at CourierJournal.com, or at TimSullivan714 on Twitter.